Hello and welcome. So this is my little beginning of Skull Blaster, and I've gotten some music sources in here. So as you can see, I've got my background music going to my background volume mixer. So right here, so whenever I play this, it's actually going to have some music behind it in each different screen. And I have my play screen, go to where we're going to play and options. That's where we're going to change the volume at. So, let's see here. I need to go to my scenes, my options, and in here, this is where I've created these sliders. Of course, they don't really change anything in here till play, but this one right here will change the background music volume. This one will change the sound effects volume, like the shooting when you get hit and stuff like that. So to create that, I have an audio manager game object here, and attached to it is a background volume script or an audio manager script to change the background volume specifically, and only the background volume as we have designated in like these. And for here we have the same thing. Sound effects manager is going to do the same deal. And right here, the background slider, this is for that volume slider. We have that volume attached. See, as we drag this, it will reflect there. And then we have the same here for the sound effects slider. These are calling their each individual scripts. Now, let me get this back to our title screen. Let's see, it didn't really change anything, but that's all right. Come into Visual Studio. This is where we can see what's going on here. Alright, so this is actually the audio that's going to happen whenever it shoots. This is going to be the one-shot triggering. Means whenever we hit the key, the space key, we're going to play that sound. Because the space key is when we shoot. So why not just link those two together? Makes that nice and easy. Right here's our function to trigger that sound. It's going to play it at this volume unless designated in the options screen by the player ahead of time. Alright, going along with that, we have our shoot zombie. Now, in this one, whenever the zombie gets hit, it's going to play at a different impact sound. And for this, we're actually going to use the play clip at point option. And we're going to designate a very specific, right here, as in this projectile impact. We're going to make sure that only when it hits the enemy is it going to make that sound. And then, of course, we'll kill the enemy. And this is going to let us know if we got the sound or not. It's either going to splat or it's not going to splat. And the debug will tell us why, like if we got that or not. So, to make this available, that we can change it to the sliders, we have first the audio manager. This is for the background volume. These are very similar to the game manager, where we don't want more than one of them happening in the scene at the time, or else they'll be fighting for volume and it won't work correctly. So if there's more than one, we're going to go ahead and destroy it. If not, we're going to leave it there. And at the beginning, on awake, we're going to go ahead and load the volume that the player has saved in the option menu. And here is our function to actually do that, where we're calling it right here. So this is going to go ahead, go into the player preferences, and it's going to grab that volume key. Now, for setting the actual mixer volume, we're going to change the slider value right here. So, this debug log, this is going to say if the audio mixer is there, or is not there, I mean, then we're going to go ahead and say it's not assigned. That tells us that in the inspector, we need to go and assign this audio manager, the audio mixer, to that manager. And right here is we are creating a float to convert our slider value to decibels using a logarithmic. So this is actually the math that we need to use to make that happen. Now here, if we're with this, we're trying to make sure that the slider doesn't go below 0. because then it might get stuck there. And we don't want that to happen. So if it's less than 0.0001, very small, it's going to stay there. And of course, when it goes above, it'll let it change. And here we're going to set the mixer volume in decibels and change that, save that value in the player preferences. So now here in our volume slider controller, this is where we are actually going to initially get the slider component so that we have something to change. And we're going to call those the player preferences to get that. And we're going to also create a listener to make sure that the sound can be played. And if there's a second manager in there, it's going to destroy it. And it's also going to destroy this extra listener to make sure that we don't have more than one of either of those. We don't want things to get funky. And right here, this is going to make sure that when we change our slider, it's going to go and set the mixer volume as well to what we have it designated. And then here, to keep things easier, less of a headache for myself, as it was a bit of a headache to figure this out, I have exactly the same thing, except for this is going to go for our sound effects volume. And in here, we have a sound effects manager. Everything is basically the same. We just have different names for things, like sound effects manager here instead of background manager. And that really helped me out a lot. Now, for extra things, I wanted to be able to edge wrap to go so that whenever you go out one side of the screen, you come in through the other. Just keep this kind of little super mini game that you could play forever, I guess, really, depending on how good you do. So to do that, we're actually going to use the camera utilities, and we're going to calculate the dimensions of the screen that is being used. A little bit of typo there. And so it doesn't matter what kind of screen you are. This is going to go ahead and we're going to get how wide this is, and we're going to catch how tall it is. And we're going to set those to the borders of where our player can actually go. And here in the camera utilities, that's actually going to make sure that can happen. So this is making sure to set our main camera where it's at, and to make the border the size of the camera. See, these are those, whenever we come in here, these are those where that reflects that. So we're going to set our camera and then make sure that whenever the player is going all the way on this side, that it's actually going to be transformed to the opposite side, which is what this right here means. So now let's go into the game and see how that works. Let this play here. Alright, we've got our nifty little background music. I like that. Doo-doo-doo. Click on our options. We come here. And here we go. We can adjust our background volume however we need to. We'll go ahead and lower that a little. And the same, our sound effects volume isn't, we're not going to hear that right now, but if I leave that at full, then we're going to be able to hear everything that's happening. So we got our background music that's lower. We got our zombies are chomping us. Let's see if I can hit one of these. See, we got that extra little sound. But my game over is not working right. I'm going to have to fix that. So, but that does get my sound settings in. So here we go. And thank you for watching.